be really interactive. My name is Sean Hurley. I'll be your community host. We're joined by Dzan Ta, and today we'll be discussing remote work capabilities. So let's go to the next slide and have introductions. As I said, I'm Sean Hurley. I'm Autodesk Community Engagement Manager. I'm a geeky technologist. I've been with the Autodesk a long time, and I'm getting real general now, just based in Oregon because I'm all over the place. I sold my house and looking to buy new, and I haven't quite figured out in this crazy market where I can afford. So anyway, Dzan, please
And
tell us.
welcome. This is Dzan. I'm an application engineer for Repo Products, an Autodesk reseller out in Georgia. And I've been in the industry for quite some time, and a certified instructor, expert elite, martial arts instructor, scouts leader, and I kind of just, my forte is teaching. So I enjoy engaging with everybody and trying to learn from everybody that I meet wherever I go. But thank you very much for joining in for our presentation today.
All right, next, Dzan, please. Thank you. So before we begin, our lines are muted kind of to reduce the background noise. We invite you to turn your camera on, kind of gives us that feeling that we're in the same room or same space. If you have a question, you raise your hand using the little icons at the bottom, and we'll call on you to unmute or chat to type your question. This session is recorded. A link will be emailed to you after. So if you didn't hear anything clearly, or if you want to go back over it later or share it with somebody, feel free to do that. Next, please. Oh, there's our little hands, our little hand icons. That's fine. Lawyers always have us talk about any statements we talk about products. If we make any forward-looking statements or features that aren't in the existing products, we expect you to make your decisions based on what is in the shipping products today, not anything that would do for forward-looking. So base all your decisions based on what the products are today. So next, please. Community conversations provide opportunities for engineers, designers, artists, and makers to meet in a safe, live, virtual setting to share expertise, get to know others in their field, and grow your community network. This is a community. This is a conversation. So let's get active and involved and connect and learn and meet some people. The sessions are always supported by the Autodesk community managers to help guide conversations, feed important insights back to the community, to Autodesk, and support the participants in getting connected to the expertise you need. So welcome, everybody. Dzan, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. So before we head into our first slide for the day, I have a few polling questions that I'd like to throw up. So if I can get Kate to throw up the first one, and let's see what people will come up with. So the first one is, what drove you to Autodesk's Autodesk Community Conversation presentation today? You have 3 choices to make whatever choice you want. And we'll give everybody a couple minutes, and then we'll end the polling when we're good. And my polling window disappears, so I'm not sure if the end results are going to display or not.
They're still kind of rising, so let's give people another few seconds. Okay, it seems like they aren't incrementing up anymore. You want to see the results?
Yes, let's take a look at the results for the first polling.
Okay.
All right, so the first one was, what drove you to today's Autodesk community conversation? And majority said exploring Autodesk solutions for knowledge, which is really good. That's good to know. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the second polling question. And let's see. Do I need to hit relaunch polling again? Let's see. Oh, there's polling 1. All right, so the second one is, was transitioning to remote work easy or hard for you? So we have a lot of people in the audience that have so far very easy to make that transition. That's good. That's a good
So
sign.
you're seeing the results right away now?
I am seeing the results, correct.
Oh, okay.
That's at 20 out of 22, roughly. Yeah. So that's good that everybody seems to have a good transition on that. I did not, surprisingly, have a good transition. So, we'll talk about it, don't worry. And then we have one last polling question I'd like to throw up. Do you want to return to the traditional office workflow environment?
Wow.
That's what I expected. It's very interesting because I just started going back into the office not more than 2 weeks ago, maybe. As in like requested to go back into the office, and it's only been 2 weeks, and I can tell you right now that answer for no is a very definite. A lot of people who've been away for a good amount of time don't want to go back, and I've been reading news about people quitting their jobs because they don't want to go back, and their employers are forcing them to go back, and they're like, no, we're gonna go work somewhere else. So, all right. So thank you very much for the 3 polling questions and your results. It gives me a good idea of the audience and where you all stand. All right. So we're going to go ahead and move into our presentation. And the first slide that I have here is called Driving Forces. And what we're talking about is what is driving us to be in this kind of environment, obviously. And the 3 things that came to mind initially right off the bat was obviously our current COVID situation. It really forced us to be completely isolated, if you will, from each other for a good while. And it wasn't a good experience to begin with. So that's a major driving force. A second one is the flexibility and the ability to continue your work from wherever you are. Just because we have a pandemic or we have something massive going on, it doesn't mean that work stops. We have to continue, we have no choice. So we have to be able to look at it from the standpoint of how do we continue our work? How do we make it easier for people to do what they need to do? Okay, so that's another big driving force that makes us be in the situation that we're in. And then the last is, for me, is continued social connections. And what I mean by that is we were forced into this isolated bubble and for the longest time, and we're coming out of our shell, if you will, and trying to re-communicate with people. And it's really hard from a mental standpoint. It's really hard on a social standpoint, especially if you're already introvert to begin with. And being able to keep that social connection and keep with your friends and keep with your colleagues is extremely important for you to have good, proper mental health and to be able to continue doing what you need to do. And again, reading a lot of what's going on in the industry, people don't realize this and they get shut down. And there's unfortunately a lot of bad news about, especially the kids and the teenagers and those that are in school, committing suicide and other things like that. People that work, it's really bad. So this is another massive driving force that I thought I wanted to bring attention to you during this presentation to make you sure you're aware of why we're in the state that we're in. Okay. Now, moving on to what are the challenges that we had to face because of this situation. The IT infrastructure, right? So no more back in the office and everybody's on an office and their workstation and just logged into their corporate network. For those of you who work in a big corporation who have multiple offices and multiple locations, you probably have a very good WAN situation and you probably have VPN set up and things like that. But for those who are in a smaller firm or medium-sized firm that don't have that flexibility and capability, we all had to scramble. We all had to figure out how to get that functionality for everybody on their machines. We even had to, like, for example, my office, take a lot of the training laptops and divvy them out to the employees because the employees that were working here had desktops. They're not going to just physically grab them and move them. So a lot of IT infrastructure change. had to take place, especially for those who don't have any IT background experience, trying to walk them over the phone on how to set up a VPN connection, how to log in, how to access your software, things like that. It's a big challenge. Another challenge is training on how to communicate with new tools. For example, MS Teams, that was introduced to us the minute we went mobile. And I said, I'm not learning this. I don't want to learn this. I already have enough stuff in my head. I don't need another piece of software. Come on. But you had to. Everybody has to do that. It's a pain point. You had to learn all the different ways to communicate. And one avenue was MS Teams, and everybody else in other firms and companies have different means as well, internal chat systems, and you name it. So the training of how to use those was a big challenge. The resistance, right? Resistance is futile, right? I hate change. I really do. And it's very surprising coming from me, because I'm forced to have to learn things constantly and to be able to teach things constantly and engage with audiences. And it's hard. It's very hard. And so that is one of the biggest challenges for people, especially when you get older too. You don't want to change. You're set in your ways. You have a nice rhythm, and things work really well for you. And to break that is very disruptive physically and mentally. And then the additional cost of going remote, right? For those of us who didn't have laptops, we had to scramble to buy laptops. Whether the company paid for them or not, we had to buy them and have all the tools necessary to do the work. I know that, when I got set up at the house, it was in midstream of moving from one house to another house. So I had to buy additional machines and laptops and monitors and things to get set up properly. And so those additional costs are a big challenge for any company and any person to have to take on for this kind of remote functionality. All right. Now, in regards to the existing tools that we have today to do the work that we have to engage in, we've got the traditional Dropbox, Microsoft OneDrive, Google Drive, Box, those types of cloud-based functions, and everybody uses them. Some are good, some are bad, and depending on whether you pay for them or not, it will give you certain access and functionality with amount of storage space and collaboration efforts and things like that. But they are all kind of isolated, if you will, from each other. They don't really engage with each other, which is one of the bigger pain points that I've seen with all the different accounts that I have. And so the next thing that we have as existing tools are things like Zoom. If we knew, we would have bought stock in Zoom a year and a half ago. And we might be sitting, having better conversations. We have WebEx, right? We have Microsoft Teams, we have Facebook Chat, Meet, and there are a lot of types of these tools that help you with collaborating and visually seeing each other, verbally talking to each other, chatting mechanism, things like that. Okay, these are all the different existing tools that we have. And again, some are really good, some are not so good. And depending on what kind of package that you buy will dictate what kind of experience you'll have with them, let alone being able to learn the tools to be able to use them properly. Okay. In regards to remote software, remote control software, and I don't know how many people here in the audience have to work with that level of remote work functionality, but there are applications out there to help you take full control of your systems. So, we have TeamViewer, we have Splashtop, we have WebEx remote software. There's tons of them that are out there. Those are the three that I use the most. And it gives me the ability to sit anywhere that I want on any machine that I have and remote into any other machine that I want at any point in time. Like I literally did that before jumping on this presentation because I said, oh, I have some files that are on my hard drive that are on my other laptop at the house. How do I get them? Oh, I'll just remote into that laptop and email the files to myself. And that's what I did. So having remote control software is another existing tool that's available for us to work in this kind of environment. So, and then lastly, we have the cloud-based content that's already out there, like Microsoft Cloud software on Office, Word, PowerPoint, things like that. We're using Microsoft PowerPoint literally as we speak in the cloud to do the work that we do. But Google obviously has their products as well. So thinking about all of these different existing tools that are out there, you as an audience will use some of them, you may use all of them. And you'll start to learn and realize in the past year, year and a half of working with these tools, which one works really well, which one doesn't, and how do they hinder our workflow. And our goal today is to help you understand, what does Autodesk have? And how can our tools help you to be a lot more productive in your work environment? Okay, so speaking of the Autodesk solutions, we have Autodesk Construction Cloud and Autodesk Docs. For those who are not aware or who've never heard, Autodesk Construction Cloud is the overall platform that contains many of our online services that are available, which include Autodesk Docs, which includes Insight, and we'll go through all of the different venues, if you will, and see how does this all function and work and help you with doing your Autodesk type of work, no matter where you are, okay? We have BIM Collaborate and Collaborate Pro, which are also engines within the Autodesk Construction Cloud to help you work from a Revit standpoint, and even not just necessarily Revit standpoint, but from all Autodesk file type platforms. We have cloud site access integration via the different Autodesk software. So for example, with AutoCAD 2022, they've done a lot of heavy revamping on how to access all of those cloud storage locations from within the software. So you can work very quickly and easily to get to your files, to work with the files, to save them, to share the files, share the views, things like that. And so when we talk about the cloud site access for the different Autodesk products, you've got AutoCAD, you've got Revit, and there's tons that are out there. And we'll look at how that helps you with working in a remote environment. We have web.autocad.com. So a lot of the Autodesk products are starting to be cloud-based, where you don't actually have to install the software anymore. So web.autocad.com gives you a basic AutoCAD software via any HTML interface. So you can have Chrome, Edge, you name it, Firefox, and start using these tools. But more importantly, the software that's in that type of environment is more cloud-based and will give you the ability to work with those cloud files faster and easier and share faster and easier. And then, you know, I still get a lot of people who don't realize that there is such a thing as viewer.autodesk.com, which is just a simple website that allows you to upload any Autodesk file to that site, and it will automatically let you see the file and digest the data of the file. You don't actually have to have, for example, Inventor installed on your machine, or Fusion 360, or AutoCAD Mechanical, any of those products. You can actually just grab the files you receive. Maybe you're the client and your laptop doesn't have any of that content, and your architect and engineers, they send you the files. So you can just grab those files, throw them up on viewer.autodesk.com and really get a good handle on, what are these guys building for me? What are these teams building for me? And where's my status? Okay.
Dzan?
Yes, sir.
We got a great question from Heather. Have you run into issues with poor internet connection, and how did you resolve them? We could take her off mute if she would like to, or you can add any commentary to her question.
I see. So yes, so the question is, have you ran into issues with any poor internet connections, and how do we go about fixing them? I did run into snags because I was transitioning from one house to another, and I went from a fiber connection at one house to no connection for 3 weeks at the new house, and it was really, really not a good day for me. Yeah. So how did I resolve it? I told my family, I said, all of you guys have cell phones. We all have mobile access capability. We all have tethering functionality on our phones. Everybody go remote and tether to the phones until I can get the provider into the house to get things up and running. And that's how I resolved it. So you will run into situations where you don't have a web connection, or you have a poor web connection. The good thing that I've learned and seen and actually experimented with is that a lot of the cloud-based products that you have to log in and use from an Autodesk perspective, you don't need a fast connection. I've tested it on a 56K modem connection once, and it was hilarious because somebody said, "You still have that?" I'm like, "Yes, I tried that. I know." And I've tried it on a DSL connection. I've tried it on a cable, various speeds from 100 to 300 megs a second. And you really don't actually have to have the fiber gigabit speed up and down that, I used to have. It would be nice, right? But having you will run into that snag. And so from an IT perspective, because I used to do IT as well, your IT team at your company should have backups in place. They should have contingencies set up for you. And so things are going to be, they're going to ask you questions like, okay, so at your house or wherever you're going to be working remotely, what kind of connection do you have? And if you say we have none, then we'll say, okay, well, we have to get you connection. Let's call up the providers in the area and get you set up properly. If you say, no, I only have a DSL connection, then your IT team at your company will typically say, okay, well, what's the speed? Let's see if we can bump it up and make sure it's stable for you. And that's the primary web access solution you have. What's your backup solution? For example, a cell phone tethering. If that doesn't work, do you have a tablet that you have a SIM card with an account that you can tether to? There's always going to be solutions. And so you have to think this way to have secondary and tertiary backups. So that's how I was able to get through my hiccups, and it lasted a good 3 weeks.
So would you, I guess my follow-up question would then be to like, what would you recommend for the cloud-based apps? So if as we continue to go remote and maybe people are moving to new places, are they looking for like 100 to 300 megabytes? Like you said that there are different options, but that all
correct.
Those for cloud-based in particular.
Yeah, so in regards to the cloud-based applications, say for example, web.autocad.com or Fusion 360 or Format, those run strictly just on your connection and the HTML interface. So as long as the connection is stable, the speed itself is really not that super critical. It's only critical if you're downloading massive content and uploading massive content at the first time. A simple example would be when you're running Revit in the cloud and you go to set up your first initial cloud local model being downloaded in Revit. That first time you do it, it does take about 2 minutes or so, okay, which is like really long in tech time. But it's not that long. But once that's done, you're just getting delta changes back and forth, and it's lightning quick. And so having a connection at your house, even basic DSL 100 megs up and down, is more than enough. It really is. And then other situations I've had where I'm like, well, this is not working. We need a better solution. Grab the laptop, run to your local coffee shop or restaurant. I found Panera Bread loved me. They were really nice. They were like, yep, y'all come on in, eat, drinks, and use the desk all day. And that's what I did. And they had a stable connection. Yes, sir.
Dzan, I'll add, I am in the middle of almost nowhere. We don't have coffee houses. I don't have internet where I'm staying, but I am looking at satellite. As more satellites get up there, pretty soon we'll be maybe getting more broadband options from like Starlink from the SpaceX folks.
I heard about that too. Yes, and if you go dish-based connection, the only negative that I've seen is that if the weather is really bad, your connection is weak. That's the only negative that I've seen. But other than that, it's the good thing is, majority, if not all of the Autodesk cloud-based products, they're not heavily relied upon a massive connection speed. Okay, and I've ran presentations on my mobile laptop tethered to my mobile phone for Revit, for AutoCAD, doing classes all day like that too. So it works just fine.
We got Sean who added in that Civil 3D requires a good internet connection for large files and doesn't do the delta changes. So that's a nice little. There's gonna, your each one's gonna have its own little subtle differences, I'm sure.
Correct. And I do know, I have a coworker who handles Civil 3D and InfraWorks, and he says, yes, the database files for those two are very, very large. But they, it can be done. We've done it. We've done AU presentations with InfraWorks and with a hotel connection. So it's doable, right? All right. So then moving on, what we're going to do is I'm going to jump in to show you a lot of what we talked about now. So let me just give me a second. I'm going to slide this over and pull up my Chrome. I have Chrome. And so the first thing you're going to see is acc.autodesk.com. Now, this is your Autodesk Construction Cloud portal. You'll just go to acc.autodesk.com. You'll hit enter. You'll log in. It will ask you to log into your Autodesk account. And in here, what you're seeing is a list of all the projects in all of the hubs that you have access to, not just within your company, but within any company you've been granted access to. So for example, here in my list of projects, I have projects that are coming from my Repro Products hub, both from the BIM 360 side, server side, and also from the ACC cloud side. But I'm also seeing projects from a lot of our clients as well. So in here, you can actually just go straight to whatever project that you want to get to, and it will take you to the Autodesk Docs services aspects of the cloud functionality. And in here, you can create as many folders and subfolders as you want. And here I've set up basic subfolders with different numeral just to keep the list sorted the way I'd like. And you can create any folder, any subfolder you want. You can go through and share anything you want. You can even set up permissions on a file level, a folder level, a subfolder level, an end user level, a company level as well. So security is a big thing we haven't talked about. Just so you know, from the ACC side, that's what you have the ability to do. And so you can go to any folder, any subfolder, and you can open up any file within this portal system. And what's going to happen is that the internal viewer.autodesk.com system will kick in, and you will be able to see your data and analyze and understand your data, whether it's 2D data or 3D data. You can see all of the property information. You can see all the views and sheets. You can see any, you can separate, for example, from a Revit standpoint, different levels of content. You can even go through the process of comparing data changes, and you have the ability to download the files and share the files and even print the content. So let's say, for example, you have a client who's got a consultant who's just been engaged in the project, and they want to be able to just see where we stand with the Revit model. You can just click share, and then you can send via to that person's email address at any noted information you want, hit send, and they'll just get an email with a link. All they have to do is touch the link. It takes them directly to this site, directly to this file. And they can view it, and depending on the permission level you set for them, they can view it, they can analyze it, they can download it, they can mark it up as well. So there's a lot of functionality with this ACC portal and the type of file that you have to work with. So if I back out of this file, which is a Revit file, and go to something else, let's say just a basic photo file like the American flag, this system will look at all different file types, and it will open up all different file types. If there's a file type that it cannot open, it will look at your OS and it will say, well, what programs do you have on your computer that will allow me to open it? And you'll be able to open it, see? And that's an image file. If you open up, say, an AutoCAD file or a PDF file, you'll get different results too and different functionality. So if I say open up an AutoCAD file like this, you can now see that this is an AutoCAD file. You can zoom in and out. It has a mini map. You have the ability to do a lot of different things like panning and zooming, looking at the layer manager to look at all the different layers and turning on and off certain aspects, okay? You can also mark up the content as well. So you can do basic, cloud markups, text markups, you name it. And then you can publish it or not publish those markups. So it's a great way for you to start just collaborating with people on these files on this site. It doesn't have to be something where it's tied to just the people that are in your organization. You can share this data out to anybody that you want to. And everything is tracked all the way down to who did it, when did they do it, what did they do, who did they share it with, and it helps to foster communication, okay? So, and that's just on the Autodesk Docs aspects of acc.autodesk.com. There are a lot of other functions and features you can do in the ACC portal. If I were to do a full ACC presentation, we would be here for an hour and a half. So we're not going to do that, but I just want to let you guys know that when you're in the ACC portal and using the tools in here, you can get into Insight for energy analysis. You can get into the reporting aspects, creating reviews, transmittals. There's so much you can do on this portal. And that's just one of the tools that Autodesk provides. Another tool that Autodesk provides is web.autocad.com, which is your AutoCAD software in a stripped down version, HTML based. And so again, you can go to any of the locations that you want. They have a great little button here now that says add storage provider. And when you click it, you can actually set it up to access all of your other cloud locations. Great for getting access to Google Drive, Dropbox, and you name it. Once you've set that up, all you have to do is just click, for example, go to Box, and it'll take me there, and I can get to any subfolder that I want to, and get access to any file that I want to. See? And so it's very easy to see the file, select the file, it'll open up the file, and then you can start doing basic AutoCAD functionality with it. This is obviously not full-blown AutoCAD, but it will give you the ability to do, come here, my mouse disappeared, come here, mouse. It gives you functionality like looking at property information, looking at layers, looking at blocks, looking at XREFs, and even the new trace command as well, okay? I literally just did an AutoCAD What's New 22 presentation yesterday. So if you're interested in learning about what's new in AutoCAD 2022, I can shoot that video over to you as well. And then just FYI, I'm also going to be doing a presentation on the ACC cloud content in about a couple of weeks. So if you want to go deep into that, just reach out to me as well. So just know that when you're working with the web.autocad.com site, it gives you the ability to open the file, open it up in your desktop application, share the file immediately. And you have basic drawing functionality down here, different shapes and hatching and things like that. You have all your annotations for dimensions and text. You have all your modification commands like mirror, copy, rotate. So it's a good baseline AutoCAD tool to help you start to work with those files. We talked also that you have the viewer.autodesk.com site. And this site allows you to just either drag and drop a file into this site. It goes into your Autodesk account. It processes the information, and then from there you can look at it. So let's say I look at this particular file, and it's going to show me that model. In this case, this is a Revit model. So it'll load, it'll show you the data in 2D and 3D. And I'm at the office right now doing our presentation, and our connection at the office is 300 megs up and down. So it's a fairly robust connection. But even if I was tethered to my phone, you would still see the same speed and results, okay? So you can go to any 2D view, any sheet that you want. It'll show you the data. And then you can start collaborating and working with people, okay? You can comment on the content. You can print. You could do screenshots. You can share the data. So it makes it very simple and easy to work with, okay? And then if you head back to the main viewer homepage, you can get access to all of your other files. So to upload a file, you can just click upload new file, either drag and drop or select a file that you want. And so you just select the file you want. And by the way, all of these cloud-based tools that you're working with, that you do, anytime you do anything like this, the system will send you an email that tells you, hey, this file has been finished uploading. You can go ahead and get to the data right away. So you're always getting email communications back and forth, especially in the ACC portal. Anything you do to those files, whether you introduce files, take files away, or modify any files, you will get email notification, okay? So it's really quick. It's easy for you to upload the data. You can work with measuring tools, work with markup tools, and start marking up the content. And then you can just save it, you can share it, and it's simple. I mean, it's just, for those who even don't have any Autodesk knowledge, of software, especially say, for example, your client, they don't know how to use any of the software. They just know what they want. They can still use this and it's very easy for them. It's simple, it's a clean interface and it works. And then other applications that are cloud-based applications you might want to get into down the road are things like Autodesk Format, which allows you to do very conceptual design based drawing and modeling. Okay. And then Fusion 360 is also online as well. So people have told me Fusion 360 is the baby brother of Autodesk Inventor. So it's one of these to-do list items for me that's on a long to-do list to learn and grow, but eventually we'll get there. Okay, so this is just a really small sampling of all the different cloud-based tools that are available that Autodesk provides that you may or may not be aware of to help you do the kind of work that you do. Okay. What we're going to do as well, let's see. Does anybody have any questions before I jump to the next part of our presentation today?
I don't see any hands and I don't see any question posted.
That means I'm either really boring and they're falling asleep, or they're listening intently and they don't have any questions. So
let's assume the latter.
Because of our presentation and time restriction and things like that, I don't want to go crazy deep on each one of these different features.
We have a hand.
Oh, there's a hand. Okay, let me put my glasses on so I can see the hand.
You can unmute now.
Hello.
Yes, we hear you.
Hi, nice to hear your presentation. And this is Swami from India.
Nice to meet you.
One thing is, I have been using Autodesk product from 2003, and your presentation is great. And one thing is, can you suggest any good laptop and desktop so that it works fine for architects?
Yes,
architects
definitely.
or AC industry.
Yes. So
and second question is, if everything is in cloud, we are sure it's secured. All our data files are secured. And how to protect our system from any other malicious wares or something like that?
Okay, security suggestion. I'm just writing this down. Hang on. I'm just writing your questions down. Okay. So the first question is, what could I recommend in regards to the specs for a computer to run Autodesk products? Typically, there are a lot of manufacturers out there for computers. The ones that I stick to the most are really the Dell Precision line or the HP workstation class machines. We tend to pick those because, one, the companies are very large. Number two, the support system is enormous. Number three, their machines are not just robust, but they're consistently built well. And so we usually stick with those. There are other brands that are out there that you can buy, but I've seen over the years that their workmanship and their quality doesn't last. I do know one of the other company that's coming out that's really pushing and making great products are Box and Razer. However, Razer is gaming-based systems, and if you play games, buy a Razer. But for the Autodesk stuff that we do as architects and engineers, we typically, I would spec something like what I'm using now. And my system is just to give you an idea, it's 3 years old now. And it's a Dell Precision 7730 with an i9 processor that will burst up to 4.5 gigahertz in speed. It has 128 gigs of RAM. You don't need that much RAM, okay? I do, because I do a lot of multiple Autodesk applications at the same time, like recap, looking at a point cloud file and building a Revit model from it. And I'll have other things going on, so I have to have that much RAM. For buying a system on a desktop or laptop this day and age, I would go with at least 64 gigs of RAM, and that should be more than enough for 99% of the stuff that you do. The graphics card, Autodesk does have a hardware compatibility checklist site that you can filter by product and year and operating system, and either AMD or NVIDIA cards. I usually pick the NVIDIA ones because I tend to find that they are more bang for your buck and less expensive than the AMD ones. I've tried some AMD cards where it was a little finicky with the system. It wouldn't talk nicely with the motherboard or the BIOS or whatever, for whatever reason. So if you go with an NVIDIA card, I have an NVIDIA Quadro 5200M card, which was $1,800 back in the day. And so if you, now the cards are RTX based. So if you do like an RTX 3000 card or higher, that should be more than enough, 6 or 8 gigs of RAM memory on the card. Hard drive wise, I would go no less than half a terabyte solid state. And mainly because you need that space for not just the operating system, but all of your Autodesk software and all of your non-Autodesk software. So you will most likely chew up about 35 to 40% of your hard drive space just in programs alone. And go with a fast solid state drive. We've got the 970 and 980 Pro drives on ours, and they're lightning quick. An example would be if you had spinning drives like back in the day, to boot up this system, it would take 2.5 to 3 minutes. Booting up with a solid state takes 25 seconds. Huge difference, okay? And it doesn't seem like much because 2 minutes is 2 minutes, but in the realm of what we have to do, you know, you want it lightning quick. Display, I would not, I have a 4K display on my machine, and you know, I'm getting older, so my eyes are starting to strain a little bit. And so if you have a 4K display, your imagery is going to be really tiny. It's super sharp and clear, but you might strain a little bit. So if you're just doing a standard 1920 by 1080 resolution, that's more than good enough. Okay. And my laptop is even touch display. If you get into that, you can, you know, use your fingers and try to play that way, but not necessary. Okay. Those are the kind of specs that I would push to get. And some people will swear by i7s, i9s, or Xeon processors. I have a coworker who's got practically the same spec as mine, but he's got a Xeon processor. And he makes Civil 3D sing on that machine, whereas on my i9, it doesn't move as fast. It's very weird. So expect to spend $3,000 or more on a half decent laptop to do what you need to do. Okay, those are the specs that I would recommend. And I have actually multiple laptops. I have a Dell Precision and I have a Dell XPS as well. And our office runs both, and you really can't go wrong with those. I actually have a Surface Pro 4 laptop as well, and a tablet as well. And I've ran the Autodesk products on it, and they run just fine. The hardest thing really is going to be the graphics card. So when you spec a machine, just double check the graphics card and the driver, because Autodesk, their list is extensive, but not as long as, you know, it's not all inclusive, you know, that would just take a long time. But they do look at the cards carefully. They do test them with specific drivers to make sure that they run the Autodesk products properly. If you are running, for example, like me, you have to have AutoCAD, you have to have Revit, you have to have Navisworks, you have to have Recap, you have to have Fusion 360, you have to have all these products. Typically, you would find the one that is the most heavily, the one that requires the most amount of workforce, and build your machine based upon that. If your machine at the office is strictly just going to run AutoCAD or Revit or both, and that's it, nothing else, you don't need a super expensive machine. My laptop, just to give you an idea, is $7,000. That was 3 years ago. You can buy this same exact spec now for probably in the $3,000 or $4,000 range. So I don't know what your budget is, but you know, for me, when I used to do IT, I told if you're buying a machine and it's a desktop, your budget is $1,500. If you're buying a laptop, it's $2,000, and that was for baseline systems. Okay. And one last thing to think about, you know, you're asked about specs is, look at the investment standpoint, right? If you spend $5,000 on the machine, when will you get that back? If you do a project and you get you have a $10,000 profit on it, you just got your money back. Big deal, right? You run 5 projects like that for the course of the year, you've made all your money back. So it doesn't matter if it's 5,000 or 10,000. If I have to buy a car that's $20,000 and I use it to run 5 races and win $100,000, that's a no-brainer, right? So that was your first. The second question in regards to security is I'm going to defer that to the Autodesk team because I do know that they have a full security division that handles all of that. I know that it's super high level, government based. I don't know the exact naming specifications for it, but we can get that data over to you.
It is available on the web.
Yeah, I'm putting
yeah.
the link in the chat. So take a look at the chat.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I do know it's very high level there. I mean, Amazon server systems and things like that. So yeah, it's up there. Very good questions. So any other questions? All right, so this is good timing. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna have some breakout rooms, and we're gonna do initially 3 breakout rooms. That way the audience can jump into any one of the 3 rooms. We'll give you about 5 minutes or so because of our timing to discuss among each of you. And then we'll look at the results at the end. So the first breakout room is called breakout room 1. And that room is meant for you to jump in and talk about what you think is the best tool in general for the remote work that you do. The second breakout room is the best Autodesk tool that you think we talked about or that you know of that you would work with. And the third breakout room would be what's the best tool that we did not get a chance to talk about or something that I haven't thought of or you guys know of, because I'd like to learn as well. Okay, so we'll have 3 breakout rooms. We'll have my colleague Katie Schultz set everything up, and then you guys will jump into those rooms and we'll give you everybody till 1:55 at the most. And then we'll regroup, look at the results, and then finish out the presentation for today. So good luck and make sure you get out of the rooms too. Okay.
We'll boot you out. We'll boot them back in the common area at the end.
All right.
There
so
it
let's
is.
see.
There
it
we
is.
are.
All right. So let me go back to the presentation and we'll jump to the next one. Go, 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 go. Oops. Well, that was quick. I jumped a little too fast. Okay.
Kind of a refresher course going through.
Yep. So all the different challenges that we face, all the existing tools that we talked about, all the cool Autodesk solutions that are available now, which I'm hoping a majority of us have been working with, our demo, our breakout rooms, and then our results. And here we go. So I'm gonna let
let's
wrap up.
Thank you, Dzan. The great session, nice discussions. We're going to wrap up with 2 final slides. If you're looking for ways to connect and engage in the Autodesk community, we have a few resources for you. And I just saw some of the links posted in here, and you'll also get a follow-up email. Thank you, Kate. So you can explore the various Autodesk communities, including the global network of user groups in the Autodesk Group Network, or our industry-focused communities helping your colleagues solve business challenges together, the Autodesk forums, of course, and stay connected with us on Twitter and Facebook. So those links, like I said, are in the chat, and you also get a follow-up email. You'll also get the recording. So if you want to share that with others, it'll go eventually out to YouTube. We did have a question, Dzan, about your AutoCAD 2022, what's new, and I gave the link to the YouTube.
Okay.
But how can they reach you?
You can reach me via lots of various methods. Let me do something real basic. We're gonna go old school. And we're gonna delete that and we're gonna go like this. This is the old school method right here. See, that's me. That's
there
that.
We go.
All right. Whoops. That's my work mobile. And then if you cannot reach me there, then what's my phone number? Oh yeah. And that's my personal. So I have just those alone. You should be able to reach me. If not, find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. All of my contact data is up there. You can always reach out that way as well.
Thank you, Dzan.
There's lots of resources available, not just through Autodesk, but also through me as well, just to help out everybody. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for attending our community conversations. We welcome your feedback. We'll email you a survey, and thanks again. I hope to see you in a future one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it for everybody attending, and let's stay connected. Let's stay together with the Autodesk community and continue to help and grow each other. Okay.